Chapter 5. Rotten Dreams. Giving up a dead dream to get unstuck. Shattered dreams are inevitable in a life where we are allowed to dream limitlessly. The other day, I read on the tag of my tea bag one of the most popular cliches of cheap motivation: the only limit in your life are the limits you set in your mind. Understand that you are truly limitless, or something like that. I have seen many versions of this along the years. One of my favorites is by a great author I used to read a lot when I was younger, Brian Tracy. The man had a saying, "There are no limits, except for the limits we set in our own minds." This simple concept is the mother of unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic expectations are the cause number one for frustration and disappointment on this world, and it is fed to us from early childhood. We are limited, and that's okay to accept. We're only human, made of flesh and bone. We are not limitless, and that's okay. We are mortals with limitations, and that is fine, people, it is fine. During Saturn return we will be given a high dose of radical acceptance. It is truly a gift from the cosmos, but many of us won't see it as such. Saturn is the energy of the elimination force of the cosmos. The elimination phase of every cycle exists to set limits and to restore balance in the universe. Saturn return will inevitably set limits for our unrealistic expectations, simply because it is required for balance. The cosmos wants you to be in balance, because you are part of it. Saturn will come and will set things in motion for us to finally release all of the resentment, bitterness, and frustrations we have stored inside our bodies, clogging our soul from moving forward, all thanks to the wrong perception that we have no limits and that we can achieve anything we want, as long as we set our minds into it. This is not true. We do have limits. Unrealistic expectations plus no network. Life is full of unrealistic expectations and too many misconceptions about how society works or should behave. Unrealistic expectations that are sold as the norm for most people to achieve, when in reality only people with a really good network could accomplish. Society really does a disservice to most people when they are told to dream big and aim for the stars. That's extremely ambitious. Oftentimes people have very unrealistic goals. And hard work played by the rules will not give you success. There are people who work half as hard as you, don't follow the rules and still get ahead, or gets the opportunity you dreamed of. Unfair, isn't it? That's unfortunately reality. Why? Because in order to succeed with your high expectations goals during the accumulation phase, it's required more than hard work and to play by the rules. The crucial factor between those who get what they want and those who don't is network. We are told to dream big only to fall big into a depression when our unrealistic dreams inevitably don't come true. Not all dreams come true. Some dreams are set up to fail from the very beginning, especially if they started on an imaginary foundation of unrealistic expectations. So, Saturn return has come to get your mind in balance again. The elimination phase of Saturn return is where you detach and release unrealistic expectations, frustrations, bitterness, and resentment for not having experienced what you thought you would during your previous accumulation phase. In other words, all those years where you dreamt big and tried much, as we all do. That's only human. Following the rules and playing fair will not get you what you want, if your expectations were too high or simply unrealistic to begin with. The only thing you'll get by playing by the rules and fair with high expectations is frustration and resentment when things simply don't unfold, because the situation wouldn't have worked in the first place. I used to be the type of person who thought that having contacts, or knowing people, to get into job opportunities or get some kind of favor was unfair, that it was cheating. I realize now how blind I was to the way the world and society really work. The cosmos, the universe, the world, and your life will always revolve about network, more than hard work. Unrealistic expectations are already going to get you on a bad start to begin with, but having no network with your unrealistic expectations is going to drown you in frustration, resentment, and bitterness when the inevitable happens. Your dreams and goals do not succeed. Don't be your worst enemy. Saturn says, don't pressure your soul with something that you cannot have. Do not become obsessed with unrealistic expectations. Bitterness and resentment are the only payment for having unreachable dreams in the first place. Manage your expectations. Accept your limits. Not everyone is born with the same nuclear network nor family opportunities. However, this does not mean that you have to settle for a mediocre life. just that you have to accept that certain opportunities are not at your reach yet, in the current level of life that you have, and that's okay. Don't torture yourself lamenting your level at life, just see it instead as a starting point. Accept your limits. Not everyone is born with the same opportunities or resources, but this doesn't mean that you're destined to have a mediocre life. On the contrary, Saturn wants to free you from anger and frustration inside of you, obstructing joy from existing in you, and to radically accept the opportunities, for small as they are, in the stage of life in which you are right now. It's okay to give up on your dreams, if you replace them with new healthier ones. Your worst enemy is what you wanted to be but couldn't. The resentment of trying hard and not being able to become your dream persona. The frustration and deep depression, let them go. Release it all. There are new opportunities in future cycles, but you will never be able to experience those unless you end this cycle. This cycle where these dead dreams are rotting you from the inside out. Saturn says, it's hard to let go, but it's ultimately necessary. Let dead rotten dreams go. You will never be that person you dreamed you would be, and that's okay. Those opportunities are gone, this dream is dead and has been rotting inside you for years, spoiling your soul from the inside out. You don't deserve that. The North Node wants to give you new dreams, and with its helping hand you can have new opportunities during new North Node returns, but for that to happen Saturn has to do its job first. Let Saturn do its job. Let Saturn eliminate these rotten dreams inside of you who are making you unable to end this cycle. Let Saturn do its job, you deserve it. When everything seems to go bad, it's time to stop. There are new goals, new dreams, and new adventures after the end of Saturn return. That's the way the cosmos works, but only if you do let Saturn do its job. If you don't, you'll get stuck in a loop. Saturn's elimination phase. Saturn return is the beginning of the first big elimination phase of your life. Right after your first accumulation phase ever, you'll probably be extremely frustrated, resentful, and somewhat bitter. Especially, if you were a goody-goody and always were fair and played by the rules. You're a great person, but you need to be more than a good person to get ahead in life, but that's a topic for another occasion. Now the cosmos has moved to the next phase inevitably. We are in the elimination phase of our soul, and now we have to eliminate. Eliminate what? Where to start? A lot. When we have a dream, the very nature of achieving the dream calls for sacrifice and compromise, but we don't want to compromise our soul and health. We must reach balance to survive. Saturn says, let go of the missed opportunities of the past, whether fair or not. Let go. Resignation and grief. Resignation is bittersweet, but it's part of the grieving process during Saturn return. Maturing is giving up on your dreams and settling for the opportunities presented to you by the cosmos through the flow of opportunities. Maturing is hard. Maturing is radical acceptance. Maturing is letting go of unrealistic expectations that hinder our stability and progress. Maturing requires letting go of comfortable addictions and fantasies, then enduring the void that stays when we eliminate the addiction or fantasy. It's a true, grown-up, mental process. Only people who have matured mentally can achieve letting go and settling. At some point, settling for a partner, a house, any possession or situation is part of maturing as an overachiever. Safe bets feel so pitiful, things underachievers do, but it's a new skill overachievers have to develop as they get older. It's the price for stability and not losing everything for the eternal enticement of getting someone or something better, overachievers are so familiar with. Overachievers have to learn to practice settling for something or someone they don't truly love as long as it's high quality, not because we are losers who can't do better, but because as time goes on, there's more to lose if what we risk doesn't pay off. There's much we can't control, and risking what we have for fantasies is not worth it. Sometimes radical acceptance feels like settling, but it's part of the great skill of managing unrealistic expectations of overachievers who want to get along with the guiding force of Saturn.